HHS Secretary RFK Jr. got into a back and forth with Senator Elizabeth Warren during his Senate hearing last week, where she attacked him over changes to the COVID vaccine guidance. But the secretary was ready with some facts of his own.
You promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them.
I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication. And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
There's a resurgence in vaccine freedom, especially for parents in Florida, where the state surgeon general is dropping all childhood vaccine mandates.
What this is about is just people having the choice to choose what they put in their bodies and to choose or decide what their children put in their bodies. This is about parental rights. It's about informed consent. I get the idea that vaccine mandates have been normalized. It is not normal. It is abnormal. It is your body.
But the far-left media is still attacking the decision.
I think he is flat wrong. Public schools should absolutely require children to be vaccinated.
You talk about liberty and freedom for parents, but it seems like you're removing liberty and freedom for the parents of kids who are immunocompromised.
We are not going to give in to conspiracy theorists, and we're not going to give into, lack of data-driven policies that are somehow influencing whether people are going to be safe and whether they get access to vaccines.
You know, Lisa, I think it's really interesting here, kind of the nexus between getting rid of the vaccine mandates and also school choice. You know, we saw a lot of parents, a lot of families during COVID move to Florida for school choice. They wanted schools that were open. And now the same state is also giving parents the freedom to make decisions about vaccines. Do you kind of see this as a collision of policies that kind of makes sense to work for parents?
Well, yes, and there's also adults, too. I mean, I moved to Florida during COVID because I didn't want to subject myself to all of this nonsense in cities like here in New York. And look, the reason why so many people have distrust in public health is because we were so blatantly lied to throughout COVID. I mean, the idea that they were trying to force, or still trying to force, vaccines on children who are at little to virtually, little to no risk of COVID from dying or becoming seriously ill is disgusting. You look at most vaccines go through 10 to 15 years of safety data. We did not have this for the COVID vaccine. And then you even look, I wrote a column back in November 2021 about why I didn't get the COVID vaccine. I wrote at the time that I have a 99.97% chance of survival. This was back in 2021. I knew this. Talking about how there's a 1,000-fold difference between the mortality and the danger of COVID to someone like Joe Biden, who's much older than me, to young and healthy people such as myself. And so these people, and then also even the vaccine manufacturers at the beginning of all this did not say that the vaccine would stop the transmission of COVID. So we were lied to along the way, and that is why you have this uproar and this, wanting to sort of maybe we should re-examine some of these public health decisions. Maybe we should dig back into the research. Maybe we should have a little bit more accountability and truth. And so that's what people are demanding, and so that's what this is a response to.
I agree with you. I think a lot of the origin of the vaccine questioning now relates right back to how the federal government under the Biden administration treated the vaccine mandates with with the requirements where we had absolutely no choice. And if you questioned or you spoke up about it, you are cast aside and labeled as basically a nut, or in some cases censored altogether, Guy. I'm sure you remember that. I want to pull up one full screen that we have because there are some blue states out west now that are banding together and they're coming up with this alliance. They're calling it a health alliance. You can see here California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii. They're just kind of coming together and saying, listen, we're going to put out our own vaccine guidance and information. I'm reading that there are some experts who say that this is nothing but symbolic. It's not really going to do anything. But do you think this is going to lead to a politicization of our vaccine and health information?
Well, I think we're already there is part of the problem. And I agree entirely with Lisa on her point about COVID vaccine mandates, the disservices that were done to our society, to our children, based on little data or distorting the data that we had. And I think that is the root of now perhaps some overcorrections that we're seeing. I fear that this Florida move is too much going in the other direction, because Lisa's right about the lack of solid data over years about the COVID vaccine because it was so novel and brand new given the crisis in that circumstance. We have decades of data on mumps and measles and polio. Those are safe. They are extremely effective. And when people make the choice not to immunize their kids in some of these, we've seen outbreaks, which can be very damaging to kids. So I think there should be a delineation between the COVID vaccine, and I think the experts really screwed themselves over and sowed a lot of distrust, which is now manifesting this way. We shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater with these tested and true and tried vaccines that are very successful and safe for kids and adults alike.
But like, who are the experts these days?
I mean, but
who tells the truth?
But we have decades of proof, right, on the success of these other vaccines.
Right.
Measles, mumps, polio. Like that's not a conspiracy theory. We know that. We've lived it.
I appreciate that point so much, Guy, because I think it is no coincidence that we do have a lot of questioning of vaccines. More and more people maybe not opting to get, like, for example, a measles vaccine for their youngsters. And we do suddenly have a rise in measles in this country when that had been eradicated or considered eradicated for decades. So I think it's an excellent point.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.